Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the combined agenda and regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council, one of our Wednesday night meetings that occurs at, 3 times during the year. Would we all please rise for the salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take your seats. Roll call, please.
Councilman Charles DePiero.
Here.
Councilwoman Elizabeth Schneider.
Here.
Councilwoman Rupa P. Siegel.
Here.
Council Vice President Terrence Van Zura.
Here.
Council President Miriam Cohen.
Here. Would you please read the Sunshine Law into the record?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice has been provided by the following. 1, posted on the bulletin boards within the municipal building on December 29, 2021, and remains posted at that location for public inspection. 2, printed in the Home News Tribune and noticed to the Cranberry Press on December 30th, 2021. 3, posted on the Monroe Township website. And 4, sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 17 of the Monroe Township Code, public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes unless further time is granted by the council president.
We have one proclamation for this meeting, Save Soil Day, SOIL. It was March 21st, 2022. We have ordinances for introduction at the regular meeting. The clerk, please reference them now.
Yes, I will. Ordinance 06-2022-012, ordinance approving the traffic signal improvements for Docks Corner Road and Cranberry South River Road. Ordinance 06-2022-013, ordinance amending the Township Code to repeal in its entirety Chapter 44 entitled Flood Damage Prevention and Chapter 108-5.20 entitled Floodplains Management and replace with new Chapter 44 entitled Flood Damage Prevention.
Item 7 is the budget resolution for consideration at the June 1st regular meeting, R6 2022-152. The resolution providing that the 2022 municipal budget be read by title at the time of the public hearing. Would you complete the reading of those last two resolutions?
The following budget resolutions will be R6 2022-153, resolution authorizing the self-examination of the 2022 municipal budget, and R6 2022-154, resolution adopting the 2022 municipal budget.
We have number 8, which is the resolutions for consideration at the June 1st, 2022 regular meeting. The numbers are R6 2022-155 through R6 2022-177. Would all members of the council please review those resolutions? If there are any you wish accepted from the resolution consent agenda, please so state. That's exciting. Item 9 will be an overview of the Monroe Township Community Energy Aggregation Program recommendations by our representative from Gable Associates, Lauren Alstolza.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As mentioned, I'm Lauren Alchler. I'm with Gable Associates, and we're the energy. I'm sorry.
Bring the mic down.
Can you hear me now?
Now
Is that better?
I can, yes.
Okay. And so I'm Lauren Alchler. I'm with Gable Associates, and we're the energy consulting firm for Monroe Township. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about bids taken today for your community energy aggregation program. But before I do that, I just would like to back up and say that as a township, you've had incredible success with your community energy aggregation program. You've had alternate suppliers for about 8 years, and that's 4 successful GEA contracts, and they've been consecutive contracts. It's very rare for towns to have been able to achieve that over an 8-year span. Most towns actually will go out for bid, have a contract or two, and then have a lapse for a period of time before the prices are appropriate again to sign another contract. So you guys have had a successful run. And so Gable worked with you last fall to attempt to get a 5th round of your contract. And unfortunately, when the bids came in, they were not quite as favorable as JCP&L rates. And so we recommended that residents return to JCP&L service for basic generation service. And as a result, as of December, residents were returned to supply service with JCP&L. And so about a month ago, we went out for bids again on behalf of your township community energy aggregation program, and we got the bid results in today. And we took bids for 3 terms. We took for 12, 19, and 24 months. We had 3 suppliers submit bids for some or all of those term lengths, including Direct Energy Services, Constellation New Energy, and Energy Harbor. You may recognize some of those names from prior bid cycles. The lowest bid, and this is a testament to the energy market's high prices today in this day and age, came in at 13.235 cents, and that was a 24-month contract with Direct Energy Services. And because of this pricing, Gable recommends that you reject all of the bids, as they are all higher than JCP&L's basic generation service rates, and that your residents stay with JCP&L for basic generation supply service at this time. And what Gable will do is continue to keep our eye on the market for you, and we'll evaluate when it's appropriate to rebid. It may very well be that in the fall, it could be appropriate to bid for the spring, and we'll be in contact continuously with Harold Klein and Alan Weinberg to make sure that we keep you abreast of what's going on in the energy market. That's all I've prepared. If you have questions.
Any member of the council? Yes, Councilman DePiero, please.
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Sure.
So do you know the current rate with JCP&L for Monroe residents?
So JCP&L just put in new tariffs effective June 1, and they are slightly lower than last time. So as of last week in May, they would have been slightly lower. And I have those here, and depending on your rate class, your load profile, it'll show up on your bill as the price to compare, and those rates will range from high 7 cents per kilowatt hour to high 8s, so around 9 cents a kilowatt hour. So what you're dealing with is 8 to 9 cents versus 13.
Okay, and how long is that rate with JCP&L, the rates that you just said? How long is that in there?
The utilities file their tariffs annually. So what happens is in February, they will go out to auction for the basic generation supply service. And based on the rates of the contracts they get in, they set their new rates in June. So for this round, those are the rates going in June. Sometimes transmission gets altered slightly through the year, but typically there's an annual adjustment to the tariffs.
And you said our residents should, by the end of the year, they should go back to JCP&L. Do we have to give them any notification of how to do this?
What happened was the residents were reverted to JCP&L already this past December. So we went out for bids in the fall, September. That was not a successful bid. And so Gable notified the supplier to revert everybody. It should have been seamless because there was nothing the residents had to do for that conversion in December, this past December.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else have any questions for Ms. Altschuler?
There's a question over here.
Oh, Councilwoman
I
Schneider.
guess my question is, I live in an adult community, all electric, so I do get a lot of questions. They still need a letter explaining why, because for some reason, they don't think we're really looking or going out. So I think a letter has to go out, in some form, some way, to explain that this is why we went out. The prices weren't there. Stay with Jersey Central.
We could certainly write something up that could be posted to the website or distributed
Right.
as the town
I
sees
think
fit, and we have done that before.
There's a lot of misinformation out there, so
Okay,
that would help. Thank you.
you're very welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else have any?
I was just
Weinberg.
going to add very briefly, and appreciate your presentation, Lauren. One of the things I think we have to be mindful of too, and I've seen this mentioned elsewhere on social media, is that there are a lot of companies, now that everyone's been moved back to the tariff rate, there are a lot of aggressive companies that are out there trying to get people to join their supply program. And they're not always perfectly regulated, and they often have teaser rates that may
Yes.
be very low for 3 or 6 months, but then explode well past the tariff rate that you've said is between 8 and 9 cents. So I think we just have to continue to, to the Councilwoman Schneider says, let people know that we tried again, and this amount was 13 cents versus 8 cents at the, 13 plus, and that people have to, at this point, the tariff rate is the safest rate and cheapest rate. People are certainly welcome to get their own third party, because there's a lot of different programs out there, but just to be careful to read as much of the fine print as they can, so that they don't end up with something that they, come to regret.
Yes. And the suppliers are going out and they're procuring on behalf of these programs in current market rates, whereas the utility goes out and procures every year for about a third of the portfolio for the next 3 years. So every year they've got 3 tranches of pricing that they're blending for those tariff rates, and that contributes to why their prices are lower, and several other reasons too.
Much is going on in our world.
Yes.
That is affecting our energy prices and our ability to obtain certain kinds of advantages. Yes, Councilman Venzer.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Were any of the bids that you solicited involving either companies that are primarily solar or clean energy type of programs? And if so, how high are they?
Yeah, so these were all energy suppliers. They all of these energy suppliers do have the ability to procure an enhanced amount of renewables or RECs. The quotes that were procured here for Monroe did not have any enhanced amounts. They were the state mandated amounts for the renewable quantities. So right now, every supplier, whether you are JCP&L or Direct Energy Services, is required to procure the equivalent of 23.5% of the power in RECs as well. So it's like another product they have to procure to ensure they're supplying an entity correctly. But that is what all the suppliers had in their bids today.
So in other words, 23% of our energy, even with the JCP&L, is renewable?
Yes, 23.5 even right now. So they supply the energy, and then they have to go out and buy the certificates that shows that they have a REC or a certificate that it's come from a renewable source.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Pleasantly surprised for you. I like that.
At least we're doing something to
Yeah, and those rates do go up. So they go up to 24.5% in
So-
June and higher as we go forward.
So in a market that is not quite as friable as this market, could we assume that there would be companies when they're bidding for our business that might offer an enhanced amount of renewables to an attempt to secure business?
Sorry, can you rephrase your question,
Sure.
please?
All right. Suppose somebody, when the market is better,
Yes.
you seem to indicate that we could have companies that will give us more renewable energy.
You could have these same companies give
And they will
more.
then offer more in their.
It's all how you structure your bid. So we
Okay.
do have other towns that we work with that do go out and say, we don't want just the state mandated
We would
level.
like it high-
We would like a higher
Okay.
percent. And some will do it as a baseline product, and others will make that request as an option for residents.
Okay.
So it could be an option with slightly more, it could be an option for 100%. It depends how each town would like to structure that.
So this gives us options to consider when the
I
market.
I like the option idea, not mandating that it would have to be all renewable.
Yeah, and then I will
Just to
tell
see
you.
what they have to say.
Right. I will tell you in this marketplace, it's given that you saw the baseline contracts came in and you were still way above.
Right.
These towns that are going out with the enhanced renewables, their prices are coming in even higher.
They're even higher.
Yes.
They're
So
even
you
higher.
want to balance.
Yes, you do.
You want to balance
The
there.
goal, the program has a goal.
Exactly.
And we want to meet as much of the goal of saving our residents money on their energy
Exactly.
bills as we can.
Exactly.
If you can do more than that, it's always nicer, but that's the basic goal of the program.
Understood. I agree.
Anyone else have any more
You're welcome.
questions? Mr. Mayor, is this something you would like to weigh in on, or are you just going to wait this one out? You're just enjoying that. That's good. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
And
very
thank you for
welcome.
being here this evening and answering our questions. We are going to open for public comments now, limited to agenda items only. May I have a motion to open?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a good thing. No. Okay. And for anyone wishing to address the council this evening, please come forward. State your name and address, please. And hello. Good evening.
How you doing? My name's Bob Ross, not the painter. 494 Spotswood, Englishtown Road.
Yes, sir.
I'm a builder in Monroe Township, and I'm dealing with an issue with somebody's property's getting flooded.
No,
right.
that's not, this
When?
portion of the meeting is only for items that are on the agenda.
So I don't.
So later on in the meeting.
Later
there'll be a
on.
public
Oh, I could do it later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you
I
get
didn't-
to stay with us and see our whole meeting this way.
Yes.
Okay.
This is not
Well, I get you laugh. That's fun. That's okay with me.
Thank you, sir.
Not his issue.
Not his issue.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dr.
President. I like one item. You are objecting Senate Bill S2103 A1294 impacts our zoning board. You are objecting to that. So I don't know which resolution, but I read that. So I do appreciate that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the resolution R62022 174. Again, I appreciate what you are doing. There is a state surplus, and you are requesting that that should be, allocated to property tax relief and school funding. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you, sir. Yes, please. Yes.
Good evening. Lucille Panos, 1208 C. Lindera Plaza, Monroe. First, it's not on the agenda, but I'd like to thank this clerk's office. They have done a great job. I know there's been some staff adjustments, and it's election time, and they are the most receptive, and I appreciate that.
Thanks are always on an agenda, so that's fine.
Okay. So I guess I have a number of questions, so I'll read them and then we could cut my time because, okay, 012. The first one, is that a yellow flashing light or red light, green light? In regard to the budget, item 152, sheet 3, line 5, it refers to sheet 11, line 5. I want to know if the actual anticipated revenues realized in 2021 were more than the anticipated in 2021. Why does this budget anticipate so much less? Sheet 3B, parentheses 2, who is the group health insurance provider? Sheet 9, the tonnage grant. Why anticipate 100,000 more than was realized in 2021. Sheet 10, what is the MTUD-MCIA loan reimbursement and why is it half of what was anticipated and realized in 2021? sheet 11, line 6, A, B, C. What was actually realized in 2021 as that column is blank? Sheet 14, the township engineer. There's a lot of miscellaneous expenses, but no salary and wages. I'm wondering if that's a typo, because it seemed to be the only department with no salary and wages, but a large miscellaneous. Sheet 17, why are there no appropriations set for various adult communities as in the past? Item 153, who is the auditor? Are they present here tonight to oversee and explain the self-examination that's on the agenda and answer any possible questions? Item 157, why are there 4 purchases through the HGAC Cooperative and only 1 through the Educational Services Commission? And does the MCIA have anything to do with any of these purchases? Are they on there at all? Item 159, please explain. Item 161, please explain. Could you reserve
Did you
my
list
time?
so quickly? I do.
Okay, no, I'll do it again, but
no,
let me
no,
say,
no, we're
if you
going
have any
far.
questions, but let me say this, please. One
Yeah,
thing-
sure.
thing. This is the most unfriendly website when it comes to finding the budget. Let's see, and I pretty much know how to find a budget. You had to go through the finance department. You had to go through the accounts department. You know, there should be a sign, a link that says 2022 budget. Because by the time the public finds it, I would ask that you consider that for sure, especially since the budget was introduced, and this is the first public hearing. You introduced the budget. I don't know when there was a public hearing to go line by line like this.
We're
and-
doing it now.
Yeah, and then you're going to approve the budget.
It's in later this meeting is the public hearing.
At the public hearing
Right.
later in
And
the
then you-
Public
meeting.
hearing is always the night that the budget's adopted.
Yeah, but you know what? Isn't that kind of like putting the car, horse behind the cart or something? The public has a right to be able to ask questions. You should actually have committees. A committee for the township engineer, a committee for the courts and police, a committee for planning, and then invite. Do you guys have committee meetings and then invite the public to them? Where is the open transparency
We
government? you
believe
guys?
that we are being open and transparent. We
I
would
know
be
you believe,
pleased
but
to
you're not.
answer. We would be pleased to answer the questions you have
ahead, go for it.
asked tonight. So
Thank
why
you.
don't we begin
Thank
that
you.
process?
Thank you. I know we all believe in different
Lang.
things.
Sure.
You can-
I'm going to try and remember them all and go as quick as I can.
Yeah.
No,
George,
take
may-
your time, Alan. I need to understand.
Yep, so if you could turn the mic on, George may assist me with some of these as well. I'm going to go in order. Ordinance 12 is a light at the intersection of Docks Corner Road and Cranberry Road. It is a full-service light. It was put in by the developer at 2 county roads. 152, sheet 3, line 5.
And then it refers
it
to
in
sheet
front of you, or-
11, line. Then it refers to sheet 11. It says there must have been an amendment that who knows when that came on. Sheet 11, line 5. So that's where you find the actual.
Well, first you wanted sheet 3, line 5. So
Okay,
I'm
read
gonna-
it and then it'll refer you to the next one.
I'm going to start with that. So do you have it in front of you, George?
Yeah,
Okay. So do you want to explain that?
I don't know what the question is.
I guess she wants to understand how you come up with the number of 23,113 in terms of anticipated revenue other than current property tax. So that's the difference in our budget between the amount of money we raise as revenue and miscellaneous revenue that comes in through us, whether it's through the 11
Right,
million.
but it's so
Yeah,
much
you got to
more-
let me finish.
Go ahead.
You have to let it finish.
My apologies.
Got to give me a chance. So as you know, the budget is 66.988 million. That is made up of about $40.3 million in revenue that comes from the taxpayers. And then if you look at that and you move beyond that, you see that there's another $27 million, a little less, that comes from other items. $11 million is additional revenue. $9.9 million is surplus that runs through the budget. And I believe there's some additional money for the library. So I think that's what that is stating. The $23 million are the summation of those three things.
My question was, why is it so much less than what was realized and anticipated in 2021?
So much less. I don't believe that it is less. I believe, if anything, it may be more. George?
I mean, if you're comparing to the revenue realized, we try to be conservative in estimating our revenues. So, you don't want to push all your revenues to the exact number that you collected in the previous year.
But it's much more less. Could you give me the comparative on those two, 2021 and 2022, please?
So there's a sheet in here that has a revenue page that shows everything between 2021 and 2022. George, what page would that be, where the revenues are in front of you?
Maybe sheet 11, line 5.
The preceding pages. And what this page, sheet 11 is a summary of the previous pages for each category, whether it's local revenues or state aid.
And state law usually does not allow you to anticipate more revenue than you got in the previous year, because that would get people into trouble.
You're way under from the previous year.
So I'm just, maybe you can point out where you're
I mean, the other item is that you have to structure your budget to regenerate the surplus you're using. Like, as you see, we're using 9.9 of surplus. So you can't push all your revenues too, because you need that extra revenue to come in to replenish your surplus. So you have it again the following year, like we did this year, 9.9 being used in both years.
It's the same being used, and it's still less.
Well, the thing is, we use the 9.9 and then you regenerate it by collecting more than you anticipate. That's how you regenerate your surplus. There's other ways too, but that's as far as why the revenues realized are higher than what we anticipated. That's a good thing, because that's, again, how we regenerate our surplus. Otherwise, if we didn't, we wouldn't have 9.9 to use it. We'd have to raise taxes.
I guess the average person would call that lowballing, but go ahead. The next
I'm
question.
going to interrupt you and ask that we cannot spend the next half hour with you having a dialogue back and forth. We're all pleased to have the answer to the questions that you have, but we need to also take care of all of the business we need to take care of.
However, I am a member of the public, and you need explanation.
I welcome you as a member of the public. You receive an explanation and you're not agreeing with it, which is certainly your right.
No, I can question it. I'm questioning it again because I didn't get the full answer.
It is certainly your right. It is certainly your right, and you can come back when we're in our regular meeting again, and there will be a budget presentation and can do more. But I would like us to be able to proceed.
There's going to be a regular meeting of the budget presentation?
Yeah, there's
another house budget.
There's a public hearing on
the budget
during the council meeting. So
Tonight, I thought tonight was the only one.
Yeah.
But
Tonight's the only one. Okay, listen.
Well, no, but
okay, shut me down. Go ahead. Feel comfortable.
We're in the agenda session. We will have the budget presentation and the budget hearing for
about an
people
hour.
to speak during the regular meeting.
No, and you'll be able to ask all we're saying is that
same question.
Mr. Weinberg is going to answer your questions.
Yeah.
Your time is up. During the public hearing, if you want to ask follow-up questions, you'll have another
Absolutely.
opportunity. In fact, you'll have two more opportunities.
Two more opportunities to bite the same apple. That doesn't go away. We're just structuring it a little
Okay, so
differently than you would
you
like.
just want them to answer now, and then I can come back
Correct.
later and
Let
ask
them-
again.
please.
I gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Gentlemen,
yep,
please.
on the next one, on sheet 9, recycling tonnage grant went up.
No, sheet 3B you skipped.
Alan, I think that the council president would like to go to the next speaker, and then you
Oh,
can answer
okay.
questions when the time comes, but
I never heard.
Hold them up, okay?
Okay, whatever you want, yep.
Yeah, we'll move on. And please come back. I have no doubt. I'm sorry that you are.
No, you are one sorry council. How could you shut the public off like that?
We have
Shame on
asked you to take a temporary rest. We have not shut you off.
Yes, you have.
You are
Answer my
welcome to
question.
come back. You are welcome to come back and continue.
No, you know
We
what?
need to
I don't
do our
wanna.
business.
I have a
Not
right
do
to
that will
have
be
what
your
was said
choice.
here.
Then you make your choice.
I'm sitting here. That's my choice.
And you will come back. And during the budget hearing, you can ask all your questions again.
Is
As
the
record.
public allowed to answer the agenda items? Is that what we're doing here right now?
yes. and
Yes.
your
Okay, that's
5
what I'm
minutes,
doing,
That is
and
long.
I
Not
would like
long
to have
over.
the answers.
Well,
I-
the answer is your time is up, though, and
Please.
I'm not
your
moving.
questions.
You know what?
Well, we have a second chair someone else can sit at. That isn't a problem.
Madam President, the resident asked the questions. Mr. Weinberg is prepared to answer the questions without any type of dialogue or any conversation.
Thank you.
Then
So
that would
my
be fine.
recommendation
Thank you,
is.
Mr. Mayor, for that
let
clarification.
Mr. Weinberg, who's
I
the
will.
expert.
I will. Thank you very much for that.
And,
I can
and then
come
that
back
way,
later.
if Ms. Panos has some follow-up questions during the budget process, we can do that.
And that's, I
Thank
think,
you
what
so
all we were
much.
trying to say.
No, that's not what you said, but thank you.
All right, I'm on 3B. So 3B does outline our insurance appropriation. We do contract in the beginning of the year with a insurance consultant that gets paid directly through the township, not through any commissions. And that's how we go out each year and select insurance. A question on number 9, I think the question was about recycling tonnage grant. Last year, we got a $116,000 grant in 2021. This year, thanks to incredible effort of our DPW and hard work, we got a grant for $216,000. Yes, that's about $100,000 more than last year, and that helps us tremendously. Later today, I'll be announcing an increase in our Clean Communities grant as well. Moving on to number 10, and George, you can jump in as best you can as well. On item 10, you had a question about MTUD loan reimbursement. Why is that half? So we used to use the MCIA, which is the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, to do some different loans. They would do pool financing through the the Division of Local Government Services. We've found at times it to be more effective and quicker to do that bonding ourselves. So eventually you'll see our MCIA money phase out because we're no longer working through the MCIA and doing that loan pool program. Maybe we'll consider it in the future, but that number will continue to go down. On page 11, line 6, page 11, line 6, again, so I'll just go through that. Last year, we raised $39,719,000. This year, we're raising $40,363,000. Obviously, that sounds like an increase when obviously we're staying at the same tax rate of 48.9 cents. That is because we have an additional $700 million in rateable base, which is then shared by the entire town. So, so that will not increase the tax rate, even though the revenue that'll come in will be an additional $650,000. On sheet 14, there was a question, I think, about the why there's nothing in salary rate and wages under township engineer. That is all through operating expenses. We don't have any in-house employees with pension and healthcare. We go in the beginning of the year and we hire a consulting firm, and they do and manage our general engineering. On page 17, let me just keep going here. There was a question, I wrote down the term adult, if anybody wants to. Oh. There is no reduction in the amount of money that we pay to the adult communities. That is under the Kelly Act, who is an assemblyman from North Jersey. We're required by law to provide the same services inside and outside the gated communities in certain areas. The formula is in our code, and each year we try and anticipate what that will be. But we have never not paid a bill, and we do our best as best we can to handle that. 153, just moving back to the agenda really quick. 153, your question was self-examination.
Correct.
Our auditor does work with us on that. In the 5 years I've been here, the auditor is not normally here. 2 out of every 3 years, you self-examine your budget, and 1 out of every 3 years, the State Division of Local Government comes in and oversees your budget before you can pass it. Our auditor and our signs off on it beforehand. It's not been my practice to have that person there. 159 is, was it 159? Sorry, 157. 157, I can explain that. That is we bought about 2 years ago a Caterpillar wheel loader to particularly help with salt, amongst other things. This $29,000 work tool attachment will allow us to load smaller trucks, as well as more easily take off the front of the plows. So they're very excited about getting this to add to our 2020 Caterpillar wheel loader. 159, this is authorizing the release of a rehabilitation affordable housing agreement. This is done by the Affordable Housing Board. The full amount is brought back. If somebody doesn't wait the entire 10 years or make it the entire 10 years, they have to live in it for 10 years. After 6 years, they have to, they can get a 25% reduction per the code. After 8 years, they can get a 50% reduction. After 10 years, you can get all of the loan relief. This individual did not, without getting into too much detail, did not make even the 6 years, so all the money comes back to us. And 161, this is in 1134 Morning Glory Drive. This is affordable housing as part of round 2. At times, people who are in affordable housing that is non-rental ownership decide they want to move out. Maybe circumstances have changed for them, and they move out. The person who moves in then takes over, and we control the deed and the mortgage. And they too have to be qualified as affordable housing as well, because it has somewhere between a 30 and 50-year deed restriction.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor, for offering that.
Anyone else wishing to speak to us at this portion of the meeting? Yes, sir.
Well, I have, you know,
No yellow shirt tonight, Mr. Gunkelman.
I'm sorry, I'm moving a little slow. George Kunkelman, 5 Kelly Court. Item 013 under the new ordinances, where we're changing flood damage prevention to damage prevention, I guess, or flood plains management to flood damage. Could someone explain to me what the difference will consist
Sure.
of?
Sure, Mr. Resimo, it's your turn.
Thank you, Council President. So this ordinance, this is a state mandated ordinance to bring everyone into conformance with the new state standards for floodplain management. It's a combination of the flood provisions in the Uniform Construction Code, as well as the New Jersey Flood Hazard Area Control Act. So it's consolidating it all into one. Where you had the construction code doing one thing, you had township ordinances for floodplain management, maybe not quite in sync. So this brings it all together into again, the state mandated adoption of the current standards, as well as bringing in the current floodplain maps. The FEMA floodplain maps are referenced in this new ordinance as to the latest documents. There's also discussion in there on the actual duties of the floodplain administrator. I'm just touching on some of the highlights here. Talks about substantial damage for homes in a floodplain. This is all having to do with homes in floodplains. There's no new construction permitted, but as we all know, there's existing homes in floodplain areas. If they get damaged, there's substantial damage, which they would have to, depending on the amount of damage, may have to elevate their homes. It's pretty much all spelled out in here. Also talks about site plans and subdivisions. It brings that part of development into one ordinance. It's been approved by, we submitted it to NJDEP. They signed off on it and approved it to go for introduction and adoption. And that's where we're at.
Thank you. Are there any increase in standards? In other words, I'm asking, are we looking for more retention basin relative to the impervious surface, or or those kind of things stayed relatively the same so far?
That's a different aspect. That's not part of this. This is handling floodplain management. It has to do with structures, elevating structures above the 100-year flood elevations, 1 foot of freeboard.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. The other question I had is I don't know what a minimum library tax is.
So by law, we're required to bill, it's 1/3 of a mil, correct, Alan? When you have a free public library, by law, we're required to raise 1/3 of a mil or 1/3 of a cent.
Okay.
And that is, we raise it and we give it to the library.
Okay. The only other thing I would like to make a comment on is I didn't figure out how to access the details of the budget online. And I do miss that historically, if I remember correctly, my memory is often in question these days, we used to have a significant printout of that was available at this meeting. So the pages that we were just referencing from the previous questions were part of the handout that we got in the meeting where the budget was being reviewed. And it had more detail than a one-page summary that we have. And I appreciated that and would like to go back to that unless it's wasting way too much paper. In any case.
Comment
we'll
noted
cut
and
down more trees.
appreciated.
No,
Thank you.
it's all right. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak to us this evening? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public portion. So moved.
Second.
Second. May we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? May I have a motion to adjourn the agenda meeting?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Excuse me.
Am I supposed to be able to speak here?
No, at the end of the meeting.
The end of the meeting.
At the end of the meeting.
There's another,
Councilman Charles
you got to
DePiero.
stay for the whole thing. No.
No.
Councilman Charles DePiero.
Please, can we just vote?
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
The time is 7:10.
Okay, folks, I'm going to have a 5-minute bathroom break. Please don't go anywhere, and the regular meeting will begin, unless you're going to the bathroom.
Okay?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. 39.
Exactly, that's great.
We are calling the regular meeting to order. The time is,
The time is 7:16, Council President.
thank you. May I have a motion to call this meeting to order?
So moved.
Me, not you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Here.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Here.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Here.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Here.
Council President Cohen.
Present. May I have a motion to approve the payment of the claims per the run date of May 25th, 2022?
So moved.
May I have a second?
DePiero.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Abstaining because my community received compensation check, as was discussed earlier, and I'm president of the board there. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 2nd, 2022 meeting?
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
2 seconds. We're doing very well. Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. May we have a motion? Ordinance 06-2022-012, approving the traffic signal improvements for Docks Corner Road and Cranberry South River Road. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Oh, yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. Ordinance 06-2022-013, amending the Township Code to repeal in its entirety Chapter 44, entitled Flood Damage Prevention, and Chapter 108-5.20, entitled Floodplains Management, and replace with new Chapter 44, entitled Flood Damage Prevention. Motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Would the clerk please read item 5?
2022 Municipal Budget, Resolution R6, 2022-152, resolution providing that the 2022 municipal budget be read by title at the time of the public hearing. Resolution R6, 2022-153, resolution authorizing the self-examination of the 2022 municipal budget.
Thank you. A motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Second. Second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. May we have a motion to open the public hearing on the 2022 municipal budget, which was introduced on May 2nd, 2022. Open the public hearing. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Oh, competing motion. Second. May we have a roll call on that?
Who was the
Who was the
second? I'm
second?
sorry.
It was Councilman
Van
Van
Zora.
Zora. Okay. Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. This is the time when the public is open, is invited to speak and discuss the budget and have questions answered. The time limit of 5 minutes is still in effect per speaker. Those wishing to address the council on the budget questions, please come to the mic stating your name and address. Freezing again. Freezing. Yes, please.
Lucille Panos, 1208C, Ladera Plaza. 5 minutes for the whole thing. Again, it's quite disappointing that this is the first public hearing. I know it was introduced. However, there was no opportunity for the public to hear this throughout the month and then voice their opinion. And you're limiting it to 5 minutes.
Your comments are so noted.
Yeah, no, I
Questions
know.
first,
Please, you should be. My questions that thank you, Alan, for most of the responses. I just want some clarification on some. Who is the group health insurance provider? I know you said you had, consultants, so who is it?
Council President, want me to answer now or at
Yes,
the end?
please.
Okay.
But then I reserve my time because
We do not reserve time. It is not a running time. So
Okay, so then let me go with the rest of them.
you have then
Okay,
prefer that. That is fine as well.
I'm going back to the budget sheet 11. That column is blank. Sheet 11, line 6, A, B, and C. Why is that 2021 blank? Sheet 14, I understand the miscellaneous expenses now that it was explained. However, who is the consulting firm? And sheet 17, I asked why there was no appropriation set for various adult communities, and it was responded that it was not a reduction. That wasn't my question. My question is, why was there not appropriations to various communities? 153, who is the auditor? And question number 157, all these cooperatives, and I'm very grateful, and I mean, I think it's a good move to step away from the Municipal Utilities Authority. However, does the MCIA have anything to do with any of these cooperative entities? Thank you.
Mr. Weinberg, you wish to
So
add?
on the insurance question, North American is our insurance company. We do a RFQ in the beginning of the year. There's some good information in the budget on health insurance. We are one of the few, I don't want to say few, but we are one of the few towns that has kept the Chapter 78 contributions. So our employees contribute up to 35%. So that's really important for us as we move forward. Sheet 11B is empty. And I'll let George add anything to it. I believe that is in addition to the local district school tax. Obviously, they get their $121 million directly through us, and I think that's blank each year because I guess municipalities could add additional money to a school district, and that's where it would go on 11B. Is that correct, George?
Yeah, it could be for different types of districts, and it does not apply to Monroe Township.
Sorry.
So it could be a
George, you need a microphone, please.
George, and if we were a Class 1 district,
Correct.
that's where the appropriation would go to the Class 1 district. Is that right?
Right, and some of the urban districts have that.
Yeah.
Yep. But we directly elect, so I think that's different. We're not a Class 1.
You're a Class 2.
Sheet 17. Sheet 17 is...
No, 14, you skipped 14.
Sorry. 14 is North American, which I think I said earlier.
You did.
We're talking about health insurance. North American Insurance Company through an RFP.
No, the miscellaneous expenses for the township engineer, and you mentioned, maybe I missed.
Yeah, so I apologize.
Center State.
So miscellaneous expenses is our contract for general engineering. As you noted, there isn't anything in salary and wages. So everything runs through a contract that runs through this council, which is the result of an RFQ that happens in the end of last year.
The question was who? Who is the consulting?
Oh, it's Center State Engineering on Spotswood Englishtown Road.
Thank you.
And we approve those through council. 117, there's another spot, I don't have it at my fingertip, where the Community Service Act is located. If I look at 17, I believe these are some prior year bills. Sometimes people get us their bill, which they're allowed to do up until 1 year after. It's not common, but it does happen, and it's still a bill we have to pay. So that's why you see some Community Service Act stuff on there. But our Community Service Act is absolutely in our budget and fully funded. After the meeting, I could show you exactly where it is, where that is.
Go see the Ranger game if I'm done.
Well, I mean, I don't have, it's definitely in there.
That was a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Ha ha.
We're not having yet.
153 is, the auditor is Lurch Higgins, and Gary Higgins is our auditor. Lurch Higgins is one of the premier auditing firms in the state, not to make a advertisement for them. 150. Oh, the MCIA. Yeah, we haven't been using the MCIA on the loans, as I mentioned earlier. We do use the Houston Galveston National Co-op for large items like ambulances and chassis for trucks. We do sometimes use the Educational Services Commission, which used to be called the Middlesex County Educational Services Committee, but it's really a statewide New Jersey co-op that's very successful to buy through, and we are getting a dump truck through there, not the cab and chassis, but the dump portion for our salt spreader through them. So we use them all the time. They're a state licensed co-op. And we've also been using Houston Galveston for a couple of years. That follows LFN 1012, which is the national co-op process in order to go to a national co-op.
My question was, does the MCIA have anything to do?
Nothing.
Good. Because I could tell you a story. When I was manager of the motor vehicle, and these vehicles purchased through the MCIA were not registered under the township when they actually belonged to the township, and there was definitely a question of, insurance.
They actually didn't belong to the township at all.
Right, and it was
They were
still
owned by the MCIA, and they were leased.
right. But that, believe me, that caused a big issue. Hell, But anyway, I'm glad that that's done with. Thank you.
Next person who wishes to address us regarding the budget, please. Dr. Perot.
15A.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. About the budget, when I came to last month's meeting, Mayor presented and we appreciated the budget, the way he presented. So I was expecting, because I go to the Board of Education and the budget presentation is done twice, preliminary and it goes for 20-25 minutes with slides, presentation and all. We get the details. So I was thinking today the budget presentation will be some slide presentation with details going on. I don't see it. So I request, President, that next year at least we have, I don't know what are the policies, I don't go, but we have to be beyond the policies. Maybe the Board of Education is directed by Department of Education how the presentation has to be done. Maybe you have been directed by municipalities how the budget has to be presented. But the expectation from the public is the budget, this is a millions-dollar budget. I trust you all, I'm not questioning that. I trust you all, you're doing good job, but it will, we also in public have to get some educated how the money is spent. And when we go back to our people and say, this is the way the budget is presentation, the details are here. I tried to go today on the township web and saw where the budget presentation in detail, okay, copies will be presented and none of the copies are here, single sheet, So anyway, this is my feedback. Please do it. I trust you all. You all go to the hours meeting, council sits and hours and go through the budget. I understand that. I appreciate that. Now, the summary of appreciation, salary and wages increase. 25.5 million to 27 million. So the question is about 3%?
Mr. Weinberg.
Yeah, so just to answer your question on that, so obviously we scaled back a little bit during COVID, and then we're able to refill some positions with some new additional positions after. So that's why you have that happening there. Obviously, our other expenses went down a little bit. The other reason the budget went up is we brought camp back, which is going to be at a much more robust level as well. So it is about a $1.5 million increase, which is about I think a little over 5% in terms of operating expenses, but you see the deferred charge, you see that the other appropriations are going down, the debt service is going down, so all in all, we're up about $700,000, as I mentioned earlier, which is really handled by the expansion of ratables.
But Mike, again, I understand salaries and wages are up by 5%. So 5% is a big amount. So, so
I should clarify, and I may have misspoken. The total category may be up approximately 5%. Most of our increases are approximately 2.5% to our employees, but we are adding some additional new employees. We also brought some people back who had, filled some positions once people left for COVID, and we're restarting camp at a larger thing. So it's really just mostly new people and the 2.5%.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to address us regarding the budget? Please, sir, yes. He's visiting. Your name and address, sir, please.
Yes. Michael Oleski, 50 Mayberry Avenue. I just wanted to maybe ask one question. It's a good thing, I guess, from the standpoint of keeping our tax rate in check. But I'm wondering, is there more information you folks can share about the increase in ratables in the town? Where's that increase coming from? Is it coming from some good commercial ratables, or Might it be coming from all the residential construction we're seeing? Yeah, but I remember hearing the same comment being made at the Board of Education meeting about the Board of Education budget, the school district budget. Yeah, and that question occurred to me then, and of course it occurred to me today too. Just wanted to hear a little more about, where that increase in ratables is coming from.
Mr. Weinberg,
Thank you.
you're prepared to answer that?
And George, feel free to jump in. I don't have the specific.
Time you want.
I don't have the specific numbers in front of me. I did say it was $700,000 in additional ratable base that came in. It's $153 million in actual ratable value. And the breakdown of that, there has definitely been more commercial and some, in certain cases, warehouses that have come on board through that. I think the number to watch there also is in terms of where it comes from is, school enrollment, which is obviously the end product of ratable growth. And so I think the school district handles that, and we certainly do watch their numbers on that. But we've been pushing really hard on commercial ratables and warehouse ratables where it makes sense, and so we're certainly seeing some of that as well.
Yep, very good. Thanks.
You're most welcome. Anyone else wishing to speak to us about the budget? Sir, even though you're visiting, you want to talk to us too. Please. Name and address for our
Thank you.
record.
Yeah, Arun Ayagari, 20 Brook Hill Road. I'm sorry, I did not do my due diligence on the budget. I just have a generic question. When you guys prepared the budget, did you guys take inflation into consideration? Because currently, nationwide inflation is 8.5%. What percent did you consider as inflation, and how does that fare in relation to the national average of 8.5%, which is a 40-year high? Thank you.
So, and George, always want to give you the opportunity. So we absolutely look at inflation. The good news is a lot of our cost here is in contracts or those 2.5% increases. So we know exactly what they are for this year. In terms of gas, we actually pay significantly less, although it's higher in terms of the state contract. I think we were at $3.60 even more recently, but we've adjusted money in there for that to deal with gas going up as well in our budget, as well as electrical prices. So we've tried to look at everything. We're a little different than the normal absolute consumer market. We do have somewhat fixed prices on a lot of our things. We certainly buy them year after year. So I think we've anticipated that fairly well, and we feel like we're positioned. I don't know, George, if you want to add anything to that. Sorry.
I think you've addressed the most of it with that.
Yeah, we do look at our exposure, and we don't see that exposure on the items we put in.
Yeah, we've allowed
Thank
for
you.
that.
You're most welcome. Does anyone else wish to comment at this time? If no one else wishes to comment on the budget, I would like to have a motion to close the public hearing on the municipal budget, please.
So moved.
Motion to close, please.
So moved.
Councilman Schneider. Motion to second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Banzora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to give the council.
Council President, can I just mention one thing?
Please do.
Before I mention the Community Service Act, which is on page 15A.
Yes.
Last year, we had budgeted $1.345 million. This year, we're budgeting $1.413 million. So I just wanted to put that out.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to give the council folks an opportunity to make any. Oh, I did close the public hearing. How come you didn't catch me this time? I don't know. Yes. We will begin with Ward 1. Councilman DePiero, you have any comments you wish to make about the budget in general or specific?
I'm in Ward 3.
Ward 3, I meant. Council, oh my God, I was half right. Ward 3, Mr. DePiero, please.
Okay. I just want to make sure where I am.
I know where we all
Thank you.
are, right? Thank you. I
So,
appreciate
so
that.
I have a couple questions. As one of our residents talked about the salaries increasing as a line item of 5%, and we did increase the number of employees to 11 more from last year. My question is anyone that is employed by the township receiving more than the contract amount that we're obligated to pay?
So
You're asking.
Council President, you want me to answer?
Yes,
And
please.
Lou, jump in. So we have 4 contracts one contract with the PBA, Police Benevolent Association, one contract with the SOA, one contract with the USWU Blue, which is blue collar, and one contract with the USW White, which is white collar. And so obviously within those contracts, we have to stay within those contracts that were adopted by this, negotiated by this administration and adopted by this council. Separate from that, we have unaffiliated employees who are, are not, I don't know if the right word is protected by a union contract. So they are, Lou can answer this, they are not subject to the provisions in those union contracts.
Correct. Correct. Anybody who's not in,
Non-aligned is probably the right.
correct. Anyone who is not in a collective bargaining agreement and whose salary is not required to be set by ordinance, which are essentially the directors, are set by the mayor, and they are not in a union contract. Correct.
So is anybody receiving more than the 2.5% in this budget? It's just a yes or a no. I mean, that's
You didn't give me a
simple.
chance to
Give
answer.
him a chance to answer, Councilman. He will do that.
Before you jump back. In this budget, there are a handful of employees who I believe are getting increases that are in addition, that are greater than 2.5% based on their job performance and activities and scope of work.
Okay, thank you. And my other point was, as our residents seem to complain about the not being able to find it, it might be next year. I did send an email out, are we going to hand anything out today? And I did not receive a response. I sent it to our CFO, I sent it to our business administrator, I sent it to our president of the council. And it would be beneficial to hand out something here that our residents can see. And when I did go on our township website, it was very difficult to find it. So maybe next year we can just have a line item that says 2023 budget, and it could just be right there on, be a little more friendly for a public to just be able to click on it. Because you had to go to the mayor and council, then you had to go to finance, and I did call Christine and asked her that question for the residents, but it just seemed like it was a lot of, and we have a lot of senior citizens in our community, and I'm one of them, so it's kind of hard, but I got to tell you, just let's try to be a little bit more friendly and trying to get it out there. And that's all, that's my...
Our clerk asked if she could make a comment regarding that, please.
When I realized, when everybody brought to our attention the difficulties they were finding the budget, we did move it to the agenda page where the agenda, the resolutions and everything are, because we would be adopting it tonight, so it was easier for everyone to find. And we will continue to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Schneider, you have any comments about the budget, please?
My comments are a little different than Councilman. I'm very pleased, that we're able to have a budget with no tax increase. And I think one of the main reasons I'm very proud is when I go and I represent, say, the Commission on Aging, the people, our residents, the volume has increased. Yet our services were never cut. So I think that's a plus for our employees, because the building is just a building, but it's what's inside. And you see what the clerk does. You see what this department does, other departments. So I'm very proud of this budget. I know nobody's ever happy with a budget, but no tax increase in 2 years. Our services are not being decreased. I think that's why people are moving in. My God, I live in Rossmore, and you put a house up for sale, and there's a bidding war. So what does that tell us? Rossmore is very choice. Monroe Township is very choice. And I'm also very happy that our residents, while maintaining the second lowest overall tax rate in the county, and we have the lowest water and sewer rates in the entire region. And I think if you look into the budget, and yes, naturally, some people might get a little more increase in salary, but some of our employees are doing 2 jobs. They're wearing 2 hats. So I think they deserve an increase, maybe a little more than 2%. Today, it's very hard to find good employees wherever you go, whether you go into a store, whether you go into anything. what does it say? Help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. So in order to keep our good employees, I think some may get a little more. And I know some are under contract, so it goes by contract. But I'm very proud of this budget, and I thank you, Mayor, and I thank George and the Finance Department, because you people really worked hard. And I've worked on budgets, so I know it's not easy. And you're not going to please everybody, but I personally think it's a good budget. I really do for these times. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes, thank you,
first budget
Council
hearing.
President. Yes. So just a couple comments. I do want to commend the mayor and the township for this year's budget. It's forward-thinking and comprehensive budget with no tax increase. It maintains and continues to enhance services to elevate the quality of life for all of our residents. I've participated in different budget processes in the past, and as Council President said, this is my first time as a councilwoman, and I applaud all those involved in the budget process for creating a responsible and sound budget. It's wonderful to see grants and shared services being utilized alongside other funding. I support this budget, and again, thank all those involved in the process. I know it's a lot of work. Thank you.
Councilman Van Zur. Hello.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I do concur, being a little bit computer challenged myself. I think we should make every effort we can to put the budget out there so that it's easy for every resident to have access to. And, you look at a meeting like this, there's about a dozen people in the audience. Perhaps we could have maybe 20 or 25, paper things prepared where people could look at it beforehand. But I do think that's a good idea. And you know what? And I say that because there's nothing to hide about this budget. Personally, I think it's a great budget. It's not easy. This gigantic budget, in a town like ours, we got to pay the employees. We got to pay, including our police, our first aid, our DPW. We got to make sure that our roads get maintained, make sure we got enough money in case it's a bad year for snow, and we got all our stuff for the snow removal, the recycling, all of our rec programs. I mean, thousands of kids literally in the town are in these programs, whether it be soccer, baseball, softball, whatever it might be. There are just so many. And there's so many different things that go into it. You throw in the senior center and all the services they provide, the library and everything that has to offer. It's not just the building itself, it's the programs they have. Our utility department, led by Mr. Stroin, who keeps our water bills down and our sewer bills down, among the lowest in the county. And you go on and on and on, all the services that the town provides that makes Monroe a great town. Somebody's out there mowing the lawns, when they have the parks and keeping things in order. And now for the second straight year since the mayor has been on board, we are presenting a budget that, again, has no new tax increases. 2 years in a row with no new taxes. I think that's outstanding, and I think the mayor, Mr. Weinberg, and Mr. Lang all need to be commended and congratulated for a tremendous effort. And that goes with all the department heads who have had to do what they had to do to help with this. The workers that, sometimes it's not easy for everyone. And if sometimes you have to skimp and maybe one of the workers has to do double the work and help out with other things. People do that in this town. And a lot of people tighten their belts to get things done. And now here we are, and I'm very proud to be able to introduce a budget that has no new taxes. And then, in addition to that, not only do we not have no new taxes, but we were able to reduce our overall debt in the town by $13 million, which will keep our taxes from going up further in the future, or reduce that probability. We've maintained our AA+ bond rating. We took advantage of multiple state grants and wherever possible for repair of certain roads and different things so that it doesn't come out of the pockets of every single taxpayer. We hired additional police, EMS, and other workers in the town. Things like new ambulance, even stuff like that. These things all cost money, and yet it was all done within a budget that requires no additional burden on the taxpayers. And that is despite the fact that there's inflation going on. So I want to personally thank the mayor, thank Alan, thank George, everybody in the town that did what they had to do to kind of put this together, and I think we all reap the benefits of their hard work. So I want to thank you for that, and I wholeheartedly support this budget.
Thank you. I would like to thank the residents who commented this evening, and we have heard the comments very clearly, as some of our people have already said, regarding making it even easier for people to access it. I, of course, strongly support this budget. I was here when the budget was introduced, and I seem to remember seeing an overhead presentation by our mayor about the budget, and I did have an opportunity to see a second one that he presented for the Mayor's Senior Advisory Committee, and found it pretty clear and easy to understand. But there was another piece of budget preparation this year that the council participated in that I found very valuable. We had, and it was, of course, open to the public as well. We had presentations by department heads and discussions of the programs that are provided through their particular departments. And the result was we all learned a great deal, even more than we thought we had learned, because we all meet with the finance people and go over numbers with them, so we see where we're going. But we had the opportunity to hear very directly about programs that are occurring and how they're presented. And it was a good give and take discussion. We hope to do it again next year. I would hope that more of our residents join us to listen to what all of the people said. I am pleased to be in support of this budget. Remember when the mayor first said that he was going to work to make sure we had another year with no tax increase. And it was a long while ago that he said that. But that was already part of his planning process, was to maintain us without another tax increase for us. So with that, I am going to request that Resolution R6 2022-154, adopting the 2022 municipal budget, that I have a motion to do so, please.
Madam President, I'd be honored
Thank you.
to present that motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Will we have a roll call, please?
Councilman DePiero.
No.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes, we have adopted a 2022 municipal budget, and we will go forward and have a very successful year. Resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda, R6 2022-155 through R6 2022-176. Leave anything out?
There have been no resolutions removed from consent agenda.
Very good. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. A second on that, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. We can skip to number 8. We had no resolutions removed. We have a zoning board nomination appointment. And the nomination was for an alternate 4 member for an unexpired term effective immediately and expiring on December 31st, 2023. All council members received the name of the individual, Thomas Cole, in their packets. You had an opportunity to review his biographical information. Yes?
Yes.
Correct.
May I have a roll call, please?
No motion.
Motion. Motion 2.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. May we have a roll call? I believe we need on this. Yes, we do.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. Now we're moving to reports?
Yes.
Oh, good. We have two things with motions. Mr. Weinberg, you haven't spoken enough yet tonight. You have additional report for us this evening.
Apologize. I'll try and go as quick as I can.
Apologizing. You give valuable information.
So a couple things I want to highlight from the agenda as well, just to reinforce. We do have the purchase of a new DPW salt truck, which hopefully we'll have in time for this winter, which is important. I was going to highlight the work tool attachment as well, which is exciting for our wheel loader. On this agenda, we have a new ambulance, which actually takes almost 10 or 11 months to get these days. It's built in Ohio, so putting it on now will help us get it in about a year, and it'll replace a 2009 ambulance that has over 200,000 miles on it. Just to add to energy aggregation again, just to reinforce, because people always have a lot of questions, obviously staying with the tariff rate is the right move, and we're coming off about a 9-cent current rate, and we should be going on the tariff rate to the 4 months of the summer that are lower, which is close to 7.8 cents per kilowatt. And that is for the first 600 kilowatts, not to get technical. And then after 600 kilowatts, it goes back up to 8.7. And then if you look at the rates for the winter, they are about 8.8. So we're going to stay in that same threshold between now and then. That is certainly the lowest rate. And obviously, as many people know, our residents fortunately saved close to $15 million over those 8 years. But other communities, as well as ours, as we saw today, there just is not a marketplace for getting a lower rate at this point. I want to thank the mayor and council for Resolution 171, which was brought up earlier. This is not a good bill that would obstruct municipal zoning authority, as was mentioned earlier. This would allow retail centers and office buildings to be converted to housing without the approval of the municipality. So that is not a good bill, and one that I think this council seems to be one of the first ones to do a resolution opposing that bill and letting our legislators know. I do want to point out that the library will be closed from June 13th to 17th. As many of you know, we received a 50% grant for a new heating and cooling system. The new air conditioning is going on the roof, and there's some steel work that needs to be done inside to make sure it stays on the roof. So during that construction period, we'll have to have the library closed. We certainly had a long and lengthy debate, but have to have safety first, and then ultimately the new unit will be up by the end of that period. As I mentioned earlier, the Clean Communities Grant will be announcing at $105,000, up from $94,000, about an $11,000 increase. So thanks. We were mentioned in the press release. I think we're the 4th largest grant in Middlesex County and one of the top 30 in the state because we were in the press release. I want to thank Joe Slomian, DPW, the Environmental Commission, and everyone who works on this. Regarding the budget, I do want to thank the mayor and the council and the focus on affordability. Certainly not an easy task. We've definitely gone out of our way to focus on grants, NJDOT, and trying to pursue as much federal CARES Act money and ARPA money that we can get, and overall trying to bring as much money to the town as possible. And that is the end of my report, Council.
Thank you very much. Mr. Razumowitz, hello.
Thank you, Council President. I'll be a quick summary of some of the projects going on. The inclusive playground over at the soccer complex, it's well under construction. We have most of the equipment is installed. There's 1 or 2 parts that are coming the end of the week. That should be completed later this month. North State Home, Lower Matchaponix, and portion of Spotswood Gravel Hill. That project has started. You'll recall that's covered under an NJDOT local aid grant of about $609,000. And again, that started earlier this week. Costco Drive, which was an NJDOT local freight grant of about $600,000. That was awarded at the last meeting. We anticipate starting that within about a month, sometime in July. Lastly, the 2022 road improvement program that we currently have a bid opening scheduled for June 8th, and I anticipate award at the next council meeting. And that includes roadway paving and guide rail. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Any member of the council, beginning with Councilman DePiero, you wish to? We will begin with Ward 3, and then we will move to Ward 1. People over there on my extreme right, because I can't do numbers really well.
Thank you. So first, I want to say, League of Women Voters, I was present last month, and most of our council was there, and it was a very, topic was women in politics, and they had local, town, from, besides Monroe, they had also local towns from Cranberry and Old Bridge as guest speakers, and Senator Greenstein, and it was very, very good. It was organized well, and it was very informative, and it's good to see women in politics. And also, they had good ideas from community to community, and the history that they've been politicians or involved in the communities. They gave us nice stories, and it was very good, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters. Last 2 weeks ago, they had another one, human trafficking, and it was, I went to that, and I was surprised to hear 80% of the people that are victims to this are U.S. citizens, and it's very hard to listen to. They had a 7-minute video. It's just very hard to see this and watch this, and as they said, the guest speaker said, it's in every community. It's all over the place, and we have to be, as we see what's going on all around us, we have to keep our guard up, and we have to be prepared. And I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for that. On another note, I received a lot of calls. I did send an email in reference to helicopters in Monroe, and no communication from our police department or social media. We talk about becoming more on social media and letting the public know and put stuff on websites, our website to inform, but there's roads closed for 4 or 5 hours. Union Valley was closed, tree down, accident, no nixle. And I understand this comes from the chief of police direction or a sergeant that is on duty at night, but I've received a lot of complaints. You go on social media, you saw a lot of complaints from residents. I did send an email, and I'm really shocked. No one answered me. But, you know, you should at least respond that, you know, we'll look into it or something, but nobody responded. I want to thank Joe and Rob Russo for meeting me yesterday with the BFI incident about the paving on the poor job that the contractor is doing. And I just want to thank Rob and Joe for meeting me and explaining, you know, that it looks like it's going to be, the project's going to be delayed a little bit, but we got to get the job done right. That's the most important thing. And we have all this supervision. We're paying all these engineers. And when I drive by, I see them sitting in their car, and it's not right. When you go down Carnegie, you look at the patches. I sent pictures as well, but I want to thank the staff for doing that. Community cleanup. A lot of us were big on the community cleanup. Prineville Road, we went from Federal to Union Valley, and it was really a good thing to see our town come out, our DPW, our police, and also the volunteers, because the years of garbage that was on that road, and to see our staff and volunteers go into these ditches and get, I mean, I didn't see a picture of all the garbage, but there was, I know my wife picked up 4 bags herself, and, you know, I got to tell you, a lot of volunteers were picking up a lot of things, and the groups, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, to see them come and help us out, it was just a great, you know, I want to thank DPW and Joe Sloman and all his help. And we did get an injured worker, but thank God he's okay during that. The high school had a function, which all of us were there. All of us. For the high school Armed Forces Appreciation Day. And being a graduate from Monroe and to go back to the field like where my wife and I graduated on, it was just brought a lot of memories, and how our community, between the police there, the first aid, the fire companies with the flag, and people putting it on social media. I mean, that's what makes Monroe great, is all coming together and all working together, and to be part of it as as a citizen and also as an elected official, it's just a great feeling, and to watch the community come together, as our mayor had a ceremony here on Memorial Day and also on the Veterans Park. We all attended that, and that was another, amazing event for our community. I want to put a shout out to our new landscaper. If you'll notice the municipal building, Gals Landscaping is our new contractor, and he's doing a 9/11, which my brother and I built that park originally in 2002. I just walked through there and I watched with the care, and this is a taxpayer in Monroe, and he has pride. And I just want to thank his company for doing a phenomenal job, and our DPW for supervision and everybody involved. I did send Lou and also Joe and an email in reference to filling in properties in Monroe. When I sat in court for about 4 hours in this room, and I heard a situation between a resident, and he asked me to be present because I am his councilman in that ward, I was shocked to hear the testimony, and then I looked into it, and there's really, for filling in someone's property and damaging another property, we really don't have anything that protects private property if they take 3 feet of fill, 2 feet of fill, or take down trees. And that's something that we need to amend or create a new ordinance that protects our residents from someone's, negligence of just not getting an approved plan, or not getting an engineer, or not getting certified material and just dumping it. And then it becomes a burden because we tell them, well, you have to go hire an attorney. And they're taxpayers here, and we tell them to go get an attorney. But when I sat in a courtroom and I heard our zoning officer testify, and everyone testify, lawyers and witnesses and residents that got affected from this and flooded, they got to pay. They got to pay for their own repairs. They got to pay for all of the situations that's going on in their home for a year or more. I mean, I just can't sit up here and listen to, that we're not going to help the residents of Monroe when someone does something illegal, when someone does something that damages someone else's property. You have to respect other people's property, and I hope we could get that amended or get a new resolution. I know of Lonnie Papiro sent an email about police volunteering. I know he sent it to the mayor, he sent it to the business administrator as well. And I just can't understand why the police in our community can't be a volunteer in our town. And it's just, I don't understand why. I don't know how we could change that. But they are volunteers in other towns, firefighters, and you can't say a bad word about a volunteer. As a commissioner of Fire District 1, that family down there, it's phenomenal what they do, day in and day out, 365. And I'm very proud to be a commissioner there. And I can tell you, men and women, children, they're volunteers, and you cannot say a bad word about a volunteer. But I was shocked. Police are not allowed to be volunteers. I don't know why. Someone can give me an answer. Last meeting, I voted no on the bill list because they're gift cards. So I asked the attorney, and I'd like to have an answer on the record on the gift cards. Who got the gift cards? Are we going to continue this business of buying gift cards? I know we don't have credit cards, and that's the reason why, but I'd like to have that answered on the record. Also, I want to put a shout out to Joe and MTUD, and Alan and I talked about this today. 20-inch main out here with a hole in the main, and Primeville and Schoolhouse. And you get in-house guys that are working day in and day out. They get hit with a storm, and they're out there digging, and they stay in that storm, and they continue to do their job. So as appreciation as a contractor for 35 years or more, I know what it's like. I did those things. And when you have an employee not sit in his truck, play with his phone, or call somebody, he stays out there in that storm, and he's fighting for us. And Joe's direction and all of his supervision, I want to say thank you to you, your staff, and all the workers that at our MTUD that help us, because that's a huge expense. 20-inch main is no joke. And the valve has to be replaced. Joe and I talked about it. I just want to say thank you. I want to wish Clearbrook 50th anniversary, for Clearbrook. And I just want to say, I remember when Buster Brown was in town, and my uncle told me, hey, Buster Brown moved into town along with Carvel Ice Cream. So it's good to have, names like that in our community. And I just wanted to say happy birthday to Betty also
I was
today.
waiting.
And I know you wanted to do it, but I took a little bit. So happy
39.
39, and you're looking great at 39. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So if Lou can just answer that question on the gift card on the record.
Sure. Actually, there's two of your matters that I can answer probably, Councilman. The first, as you and I discussed, the question of whether or not we use gift cards as opposed to, obviously we don't use credit cards. So the issue of using gift cards is not a problem. And as Alan said, they are usually used in the youth programs with regards to their, let's call them participation. They're like participation trophies, but instead they're giving gift cards out instead. I don't have a complete inventory of all the times that we use them, but I've gone through this with the administration, and I don't see that we're using them in a way that violates any law. Whether or not that should be the policy or not, that's for the council and, of course, for the mayor. The other issue that I just wanted to comment on is the issue of police volunteering for other first responder roles. The issue is the application of the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. And there is a concept in law that says that you can't, in that law, that you can't volunteer for your job. So when we deal with the public safety area, the better practice is not to allow that, for fear that you could end up with a Fair Labor Standards Act claim because you have a police officer or volunteers at a scene, and there's other police officers there, and now he's doing work that maybe another police officer would do. And the problem with the Fair Labor Standards Act, and this is why people are very careful, is that you can't waive a claim under the Fair Labor Standards Act. So you can't have an employee can't sign a piece of paper that says, I won't try to collect overtime for this volunteer work. And if you violate the act, it's treble damages plus attorney's fees. So the concern always is, and I agree with you, and by the way, if a police officer volunteers to be a Little League coach, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's when public safety employees volunteer for other public safety jobs, that's where the line gets blurred. And the safe practice, most municipalities do this also. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying most of them do, is to protect themselves against a potential claim under the Fair Labor Standards Act. That's usually the policy. So that's the rationale for it. It's not, something that the police department made up internally, but that's the issue for it. And certainly, police officers who live in town and volunteer, and if you're a police officer, you volunteer in rec programs, there's no issue with regards to that. So that's what the issue is.
I just thank you for clarification.
You're welcome.
I just want to make one comment about this, because there was an incident on Matchaponics Road, a motor vehicle accident, and the police officer showed up, and my chief at the time was Lonnie Papiro. He showed up, and the police officer jumped right in there and helped him get this person. The car was on fire. It was a serious thing, and when you see a police officer jump in there and help hands-on, and he said to Lonnie, he goes, "I'm a volunteer fireman in the town I live in."
Yeah.
And then when he was trained, he was equipped like we do in our firehouse. We send him to EMS, get it all certified, so if they do get in a situation, they're prepared. And that's all I'm saying is, what's better than having our police, because they are very prepared. They have a lot of equipment in the vehicles already that can help our residents. And that's all I'm saying is, let's work together as a community.
And obviously, I gave you the answer. That's really the answer. The answer is
It's a
is
legal
that, no,
concern.
not that we don't appreciate that they are, but, and by the way, that's not an uncommon experience to have, paid firefighters who are volunteers in the towns where they live and stuff.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Councilwoman Schneider, it's your turn, birthday girl.
It's a good evening. Not only a wonderful
noticed you're
budget, but my
hiding.
birthday, right?
I noticed you're hiding cupcakes and cake, too.
And the mayor brought me something.
The mayor brought you cupcakes for
And
your
Charlie, thank you. I
you're
love
welcome.
Teddy's.
You're welcome.
I'd like to just give a short report on the senior center. It's amazing what that short staff can do. Just on transportation, the trips were 169 just for May. Medical transport, 496. Princeton shuttle, 117. Freehold, 195. In-town shuttle, 31. The homesteads, what they're trying to do at the senior center is some of the programs they present are very, very expensive. So they're trying to get people, business people, to sponsor these once a month. And by luck for June, the homestead at Hamilton will pay for it. The summer exercise classes are starting. Excuse me. Cardiac, they will now start in June. Middlesex County is once again doing the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. This is where seniors can apply, and if they qualify, they can get a certain amount of vouchers for fruit and vegetables at a market. The Replenish Drive. The Replenish Drive was a wonderful drive where they come, and the people in Monroe are so generous with their food drive. It's hard to believe that we do have people in Monroe that need help with food. And what we don't use, we help with Spotswood, Helena. We help the other towns, Jamesburg. So people, you cannot thank people enough because it bothers me. Hunger is very dear to me because the United States produces the most food in the world.
Right.
Yet why are people going hungry? Why are children not getting enough food and nutrition? Something has to be done with this, something definitely. We have what we call a farmer's market. This is brand new. It will start on June 30th, I'm sorry, and go to September 15th. And it'll be at the Monroe Public Library. This is another one I love, the Youth Fishing Derby. That's on June 18th. I think what I enjoy is it's very family-oriented. You see children with their fathers, mothers, grandparents. And some of the children, it's a delight. They're smaller. The fishing poles are bigger. It's just a great day. Like I said, I again want to thank the mayor and George and the finance department for putting such a very, very responsible budget. This took a lot of hard work, so, and it was nice to have it on my birthday to present, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Siegel, return again.
Thank you. I have a couple updates I'm going to share from some of the commissions that I am a liaison to. The Historic Preservation Commission, this Sunday they have their Dye Farm tours from 1 to 4 p.m. So if anyone's interested, if you haven't had an opportunity to check it out, please do. There's some great information that the commissioners share about the history of Monroe. And Cultural Arts Commission, the summer concerts are starting on July 7th in Thompson Park. Some of the concert series includes Gordon James Music, Way Past Midnight, Stone Mountain Road, James Day and the Fish Fry, Hidden Gems, which is our first Bollywood concert, and John Biancali Group. So there was information in the Monroe News also if you're looking for the full list. And I just wanted to comment, I'm reflecting over the last week, as Councilman DePiero said, we had the opportunity to attend the Armed Forces Appreciation Day at the high school and the Township Memorial Services for our veterans. They were all beautiful ceremonies honoring our veterans and remembering their sacrifices that allow us to live the freedoms that we live today. I don't think we can say thank you enough to our veterans, so I just want to say thank you again for all your services. Thank you.
Councilman Manzuri, you're nodding your head there. You're ready?
I'm agreeing with
Okay.
all my co-council
I
members tonight.
knew that.
Terry,
Bring your mic closer to you.
Sorry, let's into the microphone. First of all, that was a wonderful event at the high school at the Armed Forces Day. The one thing that I happen to really appreciate about is you had a lot of the older veterans in town that were there, but at the same time, you had the kids in the high school who got to listen and hear about what some of these older veterans did. You know, we're in a generation. I was very lucky. I was at a time when I did not have to go off to war. It was right after Vietnam had kind of come to an end. But you realize that, you know, not only are World War II veterans, World War I, all the older people, and then, you know, people from Korea and people from Vietnam and stuff like that, they did a lot. And our younger children now, our kids that are coming out of high school, a lot of them have not really experienced anything like this or understand really what's going on. I mean, there are other things going on around the world, but the fact that you can kind of take the old with the new and kind of blend it together just so that these people are not forgotten and the amount of sacrifice that's given for all of us. And the same goes with the Memorial Day celebration. Mayor does a great job every year, you know, giving a little talk. The other people that are there, the
Post commander.
pardon me?
Post commander.
Well, I was going to say our post commander, Jack, who probably has a whole list of different speeches that he gives about different things, and you learn a lot. He, you know, talked about TAPS one day, and he talked about, you know, we heard about the flag on Armed Forces Day. So the little things that you hear, and again, you appreciate the sacrifices that other people make for us. I was under the weather this year for this community cleanup. I made it to the last one, but I also echo what Charlie said, because what happens, you get like the Boy Scouts out there and you get a group of softball kids or you get others, and it helps them participate in the, you know, helping the town. And it's a good thing because it kind of teaches them, you know, how to help keep, you know, things moving forward and also maybe, you know, and kind of enlisting them, maybe tell their friends not to make a mess too. So I want to mention that. Just a couple of other small things. This month is also Flag Day, June 14th. So along with the other commemorations, I think that's something that I always consider. June is also Pride Month for the LGBTQ community. So we you know, go forward with that also. As part of the Rec Advisory Board, I learned that there were two things I wanted to mention. One was one of our coaches at the high school, Kathy Dillon, was a teacher and she's retiring. Did a wonderful job for years and years. She coached different sports and different things. We wish her the best, but she was really a wonderful person. I say it personally because she coached my daughter in softball 10 years ago, and you know, I always will remember that. She made the girls run. My daughter hated that, but they had to run, and they were in good shape when the time came to play. So Kathy Dillon, I want to give her a shout out. And also we have the group, they call it the Unified Group, where it's a combination of some of our young challenged individuals along with the others, and they play athletic sports. They put together teams and they help each other. They actually went down to Florida and they did very well. And those are competitive games, so they were very proud of that group, and it worked out really well this year. Last couple of items, again, reiterate my praise on the budget again without any new taxes. Here we are now again. This is about the third month of fighting in Ukraine. It hasn't ended, other things take focus, but there are still people getting killed over there that did absolutely nothing to deserve it. So I don't want it to just get lost. And lastly, I am heartbroken when I see 19 little kids get murdered. Just breaks your heart. Anybody that's a parent just considers the loss of a child, even if they were older. You get to be an older person and you lose a child, it's hard. Kids that are, 9 and 10 years old, 3rd and 4th grade, what's our country coming to? Then you have people up in Buffalo, an older woman who goes grocery shopping one day. And, you get 9 people up there that get murdered. So I just hope something can happen in Washington where they can do something to alleviate what's going on with that situation. And I just want to get that out there, on the record. So, folks, thank you for everything again, and let's have a good summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Every time I attend the Memorial Day celebration, and then this was the Armed Forces Day, I am very forcibly reminded that I am the child of a World War II veteran, and that my father gave up his practice and joined the Army the day after Pearl Harbor Day. We wound up being stateside, and I say we because all of us lived on an Army base. That was a POW camp, and that had a hospital and a variety of, soldiers that left for foreign soil that were there. So I am reminded of the sacrifices that even those who survived made in giving up their livelihoods and risking much for the sake of our country. And we were all taught that as children growing up. And you saw that when we saw the field day at the high school of the young man who's joined the service and will be going to, I think it was, he's flying planes. Why did I think that? But that may be what it is. And every year I wish more people were there so that they can remember and that they can perhaps avert some things horrible things that we're seeing. So while those are warm and wonderful occasions, they are innately sad that we have so much going on. And I listen to the food insecurity. And I have to say that that's a fancy word for children going hungry. And it is in many towns in our county and many that we know of. And when I have students, when I'm teaching and they were developing programs, they were delivering food from Meals on Wheels in some communities. And this is real, and I agree with you. It should be a problem we can solve and haven't been. But again, we have other things that we need to do this evening. I need to thank the mayor again for this budget. I need to thank all of my colleagues for working with us in the meetings we went to learn about the budget. And our department heads for the information they shared, and my visits to the finance office where I sat there with my notebook and said, what's on this page, what's on that page, and had all my questions answered. So with that, I'm going to ask the mayor what he wishes to share with us this evening before we open for public comment.
Thank you, Madam President. So tonight, the vote culminates, it's a night of twos. There is the budget and the process. It ends. And then obviously the process will continue again. So with that, there's within the twos, there's another two of big picture and the granular aspect of it.
Yes.
So let's talk big picture budget first. So we're all judged by our peers, and you look at our surrounding towns, and most of the taxes were increased in our surrounding towns, but the theme has been affordability, and this is something that's been very close to me, very close to all the council members here, as well as the administration, where we want affordability for our citizens, and keeping the taxes flat is very, very important. That's the larger, bigger picture budget thing. The granular part of it is that there are many items within the budget that need to be reviewed, which leads to our process. And again, the process will start again, and then it will continue and then again, it will be introduced in the spring for next year, and then a vote again. The budget itself is sound. I think it's an excellent budget where we were able to keep taxes flat. The process, though, perhaps is something where we might be a little more in tune to listening to our citizens about accessibility, and that's certainly something that, we learn as we go. So the culmination of being able to look at the big picture and say, this is a sound budget, and passing it, I think, is very, very important. And I do want to thank the council for passing the budget tonight. But it's the process that we'll continue to work on. And I'm proud of that as well, that we are able to go granular, but we may need to go a little bit further than that, and that's certainly acceptable. As Councilman Van Zura mentioned about the massacre in Texas, and it just pains me that, Johnny Depp's, as the headline now, right? Buffalo went away, then Texas is back, and Ukraine goes. But what happens when there's a massacre where children are murdered in what we all think is this a safe, nurturing place is frightening. So obviously, answers to that are perhaps above our pay grade, that we have to look to our national and federal and state leaders to do things. So what can we do here in the town? I commend the Board of Ed for their action in regards to protecting our students. And it was incumbent upon me to reach out to our chief to ensure that we start sending out some more patrols to our schools as well. So hopefully we can all work together, but I'm at a loss for words. Alrighty. Memorial Day, which was mentioned by my friends on the council here. The Memorial Day services, as I had mentioned in my speech, is one of the most important things I can do as mayor, is to ensure that we never forget. Veterans Day, 9/11, and Memorial Day, very, very important for us to make sure that we remember, but also pass along and teach others to continue the ceremonies, the acknowledgements about those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. It was also at the Memorial Day service I mentioned that I've dedicated a staff member here in Town Hall to act as Veterans Affairs Liaison to not only our VFW groups, but individual veterans as well, as a focal point to help provide information to the veterans that need it. And whether that be social events, mental health, housing, anything else that we can do to help our veterans, it was important for me to ensure that we had a point person here at Town Hall to lead that. Councilman DePiero mentioned about the helicopter. So, we live in Monroe, where I think we're used to airplanes and helicopters flying overhead. But at 11 p.m. that night, I hear something. I said, wow, that helicopter is flying right overhead. Look out the window, and I see a helicopter, and it's not going anywhere. So obviously, we're all on a heightened sense of just living now these days. And my first thing to do was I went and I locked my doors. But then I also know, and I have faith in our police, that if it was an emergency, we would know about it. After about 20 minutes or so, the helicopter flew away. And, my next call that in the morning was, what happened? There was a missing child in Spotswood. The Spotswood police reached out to the state police to try to find the missing child. And there was some issues in regarding that. I spoke to the chief of police. Obviously, I spoke to our business administrator, who I know did speak with members of the council in regards to what happened. So everyone here was aware of what happened. I did reach out to some contacts in Spotswood as well. I said, what happened? Their focus was on finding that missing child. They contacted the state police. So I queried a little bit more. I said, well, Spotswood's really close to Monroe. Did you happen to call Monroe? The focus, as of their profession, as they saw, was to address what they needed to do. So perhaps communication on a higher level might have provided some more information to us, real time, but that was the case. I did receive a couple messages as well about it. I also, since it was Memorial Day, I was biking around, I asked a couple of people, and they said they didn't even hear it. So some people slept right through it. Obviously, with allergy season and people taking their allergy pills, maybe they slept through it. I did not. It was concerning, but again, and this is a reflection of our budget that we just passed as well, as we were able to increase our police force to 67 as well. And I think this is what we need here in the town. So again, our police are professionals. It is their job. I do not do it, and I will listen to what the police need for us to do. If it was a life-threatening situation, I'm sure we would have heard about it. Speaking of bike riding, on a more pleasant note, got to see that the spray park was open on time for a lot of people to enjoy up in the Veterans Avenue K Park. So that was really exciting to see. Not only all of the youngsters enjoying themselves with the water, but a lot of the families were there as well. Also, I did want to congratulate Austin Aiken from his graduation from the Coast Guard Academy. Austin was here about 3 years ago now. Speaking of COVID, I'm losing that year. He was able to graduate. Austin had the pleasure of being able to coach him in rec basketball and baseball, and I did want to congratulate young Mr. Aiken on his graduation. Finishing off with just some upcoming dates. Tuesday, June 21st is the next Mayor's Wellness Campaign. It's a yoga event at the Senior Center. Now remember, I started off with basketball. Now I'm doing some yoga. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can just see the pictures on social media as well. Please sign up. There will be sign-up details coming out shortly, so keep an eye out on our website as well as our Facebook page. Hey, Friday, June 24th is Monroe Township High School graduation. Please keep all of our graduating seniors in your hearts and your minds as they go on to the next journey. And, and if you see a senior, make sure you tell them congratulations. It's a great event for them. Thursday, June 30th is the first day of the Monroe Township Library's Farmers Market from 2 to 7 o'clock right in the parking lot there. I'm looking forward to that. We have some great vendors, some local farmers, as well as a lot of other food trucks for the residents to enjoy. Happy birthday, Betty, and to all the fathers out there, June 19th. Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Conley.
Thank you very much. We are now moving, thank you, Mr. Mayor, as always. We're moving to our public comment section. Again, I need a motion to open the public comment section.
So moved.
May I have a Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment section is over. I see a smiling face in front of me. And
Can I go first? He was waiting.
Dr. Parab.
You got to go.
Yeah. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. You know, this month has been, we had a lot of celebration at the same time. Last 30 days, shooting in Buffalo, shooting in Texas, is going beyond our thinking. It's unacceptable. Even our children have rights. I can give a lecture on politics, but I don't want to go there. 5 years back, when Dr. Kozak was there, I remember similar shooting took place in the United States. And there was a big gathering in high school, and I still remember how the intelligence information is shared, okay? So today, what assurance we have that there is a communication between the federal government, federal intelligence, and our state police, and our local police, and to the frontline forces in our school district. Because if there is a message, some child or some guy is going crazy, the message is shared from top to bottom so that, we take precautionary measures. Are these things happening today? That's the question.
I don't understand what you're asking.
The question is, it is a proactive measure. The already intelligence information flows from top to the bottom and from sideways to avoid any mass shooting, any public places. Are this intelligence information happening from top to bottom, vertical and diagonal? That's a question. Because this is going to be discussion Board of Education coming, so I'm proactively asking this question here so that our parents are worried about children going to school. I'm worried about same thing, but I'm worried about this thing can take place anywhere, in library, recreation center, senior center, anywhere it can happen. So are we taking precautionary measures? That's a question.
Well, the answer is do we share information with the school? Of course we do. Does the state police share information with the local police department? Of course they do. Do we all have relationships with the FBI and other intelligence agencies? Of course we do. So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why that you would even have to ask that question.
Yeah. No. What you said? Sir?
Of course, I mean it's a standard operating procedure.
Yeah, but that assurance, the public has to know about it.
I'm sure.
That was a very, very pronounced discussion 5 years back on that. So again, people forget. So that assurance has to be given to the public. Okay, so that's one question. Another one thing is, President, the water was tested in schools, okay?
Yes, I'm aware.
Out of 50 samples, 5 samples came, bad. So the statistics, I don't know. So my question, President, are we taking also samples in our public places like senior center, recreation center, and all? How often do we take sampling for the lead content, That's the question.
I'm going to ask Mr. Stroim, will you brief me on what had happened with the public school samples, and would you like to comment on our water quality in the absence of lead and the lengthening time we have?
I'm on? Okay.
I'm aware you told me that the school system is replacing faucets
Yeah.
in the school.
Well, yes, so and again, that's an excellent question, Dr. Parab. The Township Utility Department is governed by the Safe Drinking Water Act, and in this particular case, it's called the Lead and Copper Rule. And there's two different aspects of it as orchestrated by the EPA, one that governs schools and public places, and then the rest in our entire distribution system. There is no lead in the public water system. The lead that we found in the tests in the school came from the leaching out of plumbing fixtures, lead and brass, lead solder that was used prior to 1986, those buildings. And ironically, there was 300, I reviewed the test results from the school, there was 385 specific tests, and 9 were higher than the actual action level of 15 parts per billion within the school system, various schools. And the school, based on my understanding, is taking the appropriate measures and looking at the fixtures in those specific areas. We actually take tests, because as you know, Flint, Michigan was essentially the 9/11 in the water industry. And that brought a lot of focus from both a regulatory standpoint and a utility standpoint on the water systems throughout the entire country. And as a result of that, New Jersey took very serious action and required all of the water systems to test for lead throughout the entire municipality every 6 months. And as a result of our tests and our performance, the DEP actually granted us the ability to go from every 6 months to once a year because of the fact that we did not have any hits throughout the entire township. So I feel very comfortable with not only the actions that the municipal utility department's taking, but also the school system to ensure the safety of the public.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. I'm going to presume from the chair and invite you to come up and address us now. Sorry, you actually were here for a meeting you didn't intend to be for. Come.
I don't want to be here.
Your name and address for our record, please.
Robert Ross, 494 Spotswood, Englishtown Road, Monroe Township, New Jersey. Just the rest of the council, because I'm a builder in Monroe Township for 25 years, and I'm dealing with the issue with flooding on a person's property. Was one of my friends and somebody I know, and Charlie already addressed it already with somebody building their property up and infecting their issues with other people's properties. And that's what I'm trying to deal with right now. Mayor, councilmen, and the problem is with it, we're doing it. The lady who filled the property in this 121 Helmetta Road. She filled the property in and flooded Pete's property behind me. Pete Stefanis. And somebody stopped her from taking the dirt off her property after she's trying to mitigate the situation. So somebody's she wants to mitigate the situation of the Pete's flooding the property, but somebody's stopping her from somebody's telling her to stop mitigating the situation. So she hired an engineer, Amatec, I think, something like that. And I'm trying to figure out who's prevented her from stopping to mitigate the problem of flooding Pete's property. Somebody called the police on her, stopped her from taking dirt off the property.
I have no knowledge of.
I don't either. I know that this matters in the municipal court.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know. It's been
the matters in the municipal court.
Well, the thing is, it's affected my property. I own 2 properties next to it.
Yeah, the matters in the municipal court. So
yeah, the problem is she wants to mitigate the problem, but somebody's stopping her from mitigating.
I don't think that's the problem, but once again, it's a matter in the municipal
It's
court.
in
so
court.
It's being handled in court.
It's not in our hands to handle. If it's
But
in the
who's
court.
responsible if you backfill a property with clay soil and it affects Pete's property?
Well, the answer is that's why she got summonses, and that's why it's in the municipal court.
It's in court.
It's in court.
So can we mitigate it without going to court with it?
No, it's it's America. I can't go on somebody's property. We go to court. That's
No, she's willing to mitigate it.
Well, the answer is we went to court, so the matter's in court, so it's going to resolve itself in court. I can't really tell you much more than that. It's an active matter in the municipal court. So
Well, because I'm dealing with both sides of the issue. Because I'm dealing with
yeah,
somebody.
but you're not either side of the issue. You're just somebody who's
No, I own the property next to him.
right, and you're building a house next to it, right?
Yeah, I'm building a house next to her, and she actually backfilled almost that much.
What we're trying to, I think that the department is trying to figure out what the real cause of all of it is.
Well, the cause is she put clay on her property.
In fact, if we could maybe get on your property too, so we can make sure that whatever building there is not causing it? 'Cause
No,
you
no,
don't know
no.
what the answer is?
problem is she put clay on our property.
Okay. So the answer is
She
it's
backfilled
in
clay and-
it's in the
One at a
municipal court.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. We're in the middle of a municipal.
So, but
court
look,
now,
I'm
so
dealing
we're
with
getting resolved.
all the neighbors, at the same time as a builder, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to make everybody happy.
And they're all represented by council, and we're dealing with.
I have no idea if they represent my council, but
Yeah,
but
well,
you have to understand something. Like this lady, right? She's not from this country. She's no understand.
Well, first,
She doesn't understand about that.
First, that's incredibly inappropriate. She's a resident here in
I know, but she
Monroe,
doesn't speak
and I don't
English
care
that
what
well.
country she came from. That's inappropriate.
Why is it
She's
inappropriate?
entitled to because she's entitled to every right.
No,
that everybody here
no,
is
the thing is-
entitled to. And
no,
it's not appropriate to talk about where somebody came
No,
from.
no,
We all
you
came from
understand. You
someplace
understand
else.
something. She's ignorant
it's
to the
just not
laws in New Jersey, like most people are.
Well, right. I just find that really offensive, and we're in the municipal court, and we're going to handle it in the municipal court.
Okay.
And coming here and talking about where people come from, I don't.
No, it has nothing to do
really
with that. She doesn't understand the laws. She's a young woman.
Apparently, you don't either, and you.
I do know the laws.
Well, apparently not, because I've told you 6 different times that it's in the municipal court, and
don't have
somehow you
authority.
don't understand that that's
Well,
what it is.
But we can mitigate it without going to the court.
Oh no, you can't. We can't. She can.
She can.
But as long as she follows whatever the ordinance.
Well, that's
with
the thing.
regards
Somebody should
soil,
talk to her.
she certainly can.
Somebody should talk to her within the town to understand what's going on.
I'm going to tell you once again,
The
we're in
zoning
the municipal
officer?
court.
The
We're
zoning
in the
officer should
municipal
talk to
court,
her?
and that's where it's being handled.
Okay. I'm just trying to get this thing solved. Because it's causing flooding problems with Pete, and it's an issue, and he's talking to me about.
That's why we filed summonses, and that's why we're in the municipal court. And
Okay.
I don't know how many times I can say that, but that's where we
Okay,
are.
that's fine. Sorry about that.
It's quite all right.
Well, nice talking to you guys.
Pete Tefano, 10 Catherine Street.
Yes.
First thing on my mind is I find it absolutely appalling that my councilman now, Ward 3 councilman, I changed my district, so I find it appalling that when he sends out emails to every one of you, they're ignored. Every time I come here, the councilman says, so you must be calling the councilman a liar. He says he sends out emails and he didn't get answers. That's what I heard him say.
but the answer
So
is
maybe,
that we-
councilman, you're a liar, maybe. And the second thing on my mind, we have James Berg, who shares our school system. There are a lot of friends being made, a lot of friendships being made in the high school. These kids all play on the rec center sports together, on high school sports together, and sometimes they like to go to the rec center together. And the kids from Jamesburg are thrown out of our rec center. They're not allowed to attend or play in the rec center with their friends from high school, which is absolutely needs to be corrected because that's disgusting. Third thing on my list is thank you, Mayor, for finally addressing why there was a helicopter above our neighborhood. A lot of people were wondering what that was about, and we didn't get any nixel for it. But we also didn't get a nixel for the business's window, Puff City, that was broken the other day and their business ransacked. We also didn't get a nixel about home invasions in this town, armed home invasions where people were home and their houses were broken into while they were home. We didn't get any nixel about that either. But hey, not a big deal. Now, onto my property. Okay, 1 year ago, I sent out an email that my property was flooded. I had 4 feet of water in my entire backyard. 4 feet of water. The back of my house is destroyed. My basement is destroyed. And you have the nerve to sit up there and say, it's in municipal court. If it was one of your homes, Mr. Mayor, if it was your home and your neighbor behind you was the cause of your home and your family being destroyed because of your home is being destroyed, I guarantee you it wouldn't be in court for a year already. I guarantee you that. It wouldn't be in court. This is a ridiculous thing that you're telling me, Mr. Rainone. And I'd like to know why you stopped Bob from coming up here and speaking the first time. How did you know what his issue was?
Because he told us what it was.
No, he didn't tell you. He said his name was Bob, not the painter, and he wanted to talk about flooding, and you shut him down.
Because
like you knew what his conversation.
That wasn't on his.
There's flooding on the agenda today. There's a flooding issue on the agenda today. It was, you didn't know what it was,
So
but
more
you stopped him.
importantly, if I can ask you, question, Mr. Stefano, one of the things that's hampering our enforcement is that we're having trouble getting access to your property. Can
You don't have any. Listen, the zoning office been at my property 3 or 4 times already.
See, I'm in the middle of the municipal court matter, and what I'm being told is that we're having trouble getting you're claiming there's a condition on your property, but we can't seem to get on your property.
Listen, you don't need to be on my property. You can come to my property whenever you like, but there's no need to, because I sent you photos and videos of the water actually coming into my property.
Except we have to be able to have somebody testify. So if we can get, it would be very
Testify?
helpful.
Who do you need to testify?
We have a municipal court matter.
Okay,
right?
so did your zoning officer hand out summonses to the person behind me?
Yes, he did.
So guilty?
No.
Well, if you gave a summons, that means they did something wrong.
By the way, not the way it works in America.
No?
No.
Summonses are given when somebody doesn't violate the law?
No, the answer is you have to go to court and you have to prove the case in a court beyond a reasonable.
So I sent you pictures of the mud that's in their yard, in my yard.
And Mr. Stroin's folks come over, and because it just would help us prosecute the case, if that's okay.
Okay, the zoning office has been at my house 3 or 4 times.
See, I've been told that they're having trouble getting access to your property to.
But are you calling
me? Mr. Weinberg will.
Yeah.
Twice I have offered to come out with the township engineer.
You offered. You didn't say you had to come out.
No. I'll read the emails.
Read the email.
I'll read the email.
Yeah. You offered to come out, and I said that's not necessary. I'm telling you that the water is coming, the mud.
But it is.
Mud.
But
it's
it is
filled.
necessary. It's necessary for us to
So would you like to come tomorrow?
I'd be happy to come.
Okay. What time would you like to come? 8:30 would work for me, so I don't have to lose another day's work.
Well, I could come later in the day. I think I have a meeting at 9 o'clock, so just bear with me one second.
Yeah, I can't take off a day's work, so you can come
we
on
do it at
Friday.
night.
Come on Friday at 9 o'clock. That would be fine.
Friday at 9 o'clock.
And maybe you can help me with the wet vac, clean all the mud out of the gym in the
I
backyard
would love to
again.
come, as I have offered twice before.
Okay, I would like for you to come.
Yeah, and I'm going to come with the township engineer.
Yeah.
And we're going to look
a
at
wet dry vac too, so you can help me.
And we're going to, honestly, we need to look at the properties adjacent on both sides, the drains that have been put in.
Yeah.
I want to review the whole record of Mr. Ross's improvement.
There is no water coming from any direction besides the back, where it has been which the elevation of the road behind me is higher, and that person put in a ramp, basically, from the main road down to my property, where the water from the main road and the water collected on their property is siphoning into my property. 15 years I'm there, I've never had a puddle. Now I'm having floods.
It'd be helpful to have the engineer go out.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
We appreciate you letting us do that.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
Mark and I, if you want, we could try and figure it out now, or if you're going to stay till the end, we can come up to you at the end and agree upon
No,
it.
Friday would be great. Any day, any time on Friday, I'm off.
Okay, so we'll do Friday at 9 o'clock, if that works for you. Mark,
9
are you
o'clock
available on Friday at 9 o'clock? Let me just check with Mark and Mr. Tavano, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's going to be tight. That's going to be tight. Can we do it in the afternoon?
8:30? Okay.
Any time in the afternoon. 8:30 or in the afternoon?
I can do 8:30. Is 8:30 okay with you?
Yep.
Joe, you're good for 8:30?
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you all come to my property, okay, and you see the mud pile in the shed in the back, and it matches the mud in the backyard, what's going to happen? Are we going to have to go to court more? Or are we going to get this person to fix that?
Well, the only way we can get anybody to do anything is to go to court to get. That's the only remedy we have. We don't have a self-help remedy. We can't do anything more.
Mr. Ross just told you that the woman is willing to mitigate the problem without having to go to court.
Well, the answer is that's what he's saying, that she's saying, but that's not.
Okay, so if
the case.
after you guys leave my house, how about we walk around the block and we ask her? How's that? And then when there's 5 witnesses there, she could bulldoze the goddamn dirt out of there.
Wow.
The way she bulldozed it in there.
I once again, Mr. Ross, who's building a house, talking to somebody else, I have no idea. We're dealing with the woman and her attorney.
If he and he knocks on the door and says, hey, we'd like to take out the dirt, would that be acceptable?
I can tell you this, the township's not stopping her from remediating this.
Yeah, let Mark answer the question.
Mark, can you answer the question?
Yeah, Madam President. I did receive a grading plan from the owner's engineer this afternoon. I just looked at it quickly, but one of the comments I was going to bring up was to meet with you to come out and see what's going on in your backyard as well. So I think the meeting Friday will be productive to see what's going on, because there's a number of issues. It's not just the neighbor behind Mr. Tafano flooding. There's 2 properties being developed next door. There was grading differences, there was changes to the grading on those properties as well. So it's a combination of things, and that's why the new grading plan that they provided, and seeing what's going on your property as well, we'll be able to try to figure something out and get a solution to this. I can't give you timing on how quick that's going to happen, because we're not showing up with a bulldozer.
Okay, Mr. Rasmus, I know my time is up, but just to add to what you said, Bob, who developed the house next to me, who when I bought my home, they told me could never be developed, but that's a whole nother subject. When he built that property, he came to you with a change of plan. You guys wanted him to put all the wastewater into the system at the corner. You guys allowed him to put a big tank in. What he did was he put drains on my line of the fence that go into that tank. So no water from his property that he developed is coming onto my property. None. Zero. Every single drop of water that's flooding my home is coming from behind my home after that woman put that dirt in, that clay fill.
I'm not aware of what pipes he put on your property.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any connection of the pipe system from the neighbor to your property, but I was out there over the weekend. I know we had a torrential rain or a quick rain event. I was out there about 15 minutes after that rain event, maybe half an hour after the event. There was no water flowing, but I know you did have some videos that showed a lot of water flowing.
Of course I have videos.
But,
I've been taking nothing but videos and photographs,
but
and
it came and went, and whether it all went on your
I
property.
guess my emails might be going where Mr. DePiero's emails are going, but
I think Friday morning we'll take a
Friday
look.
morning at 9 o'clock or 8:30. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come. Well, please give us your name and address for the record, sir.
Hi, my name's Jay Foy. I live at 431 Hoffman Station Road. I am the other guy that's with the problem with the water, but I have been getting rectified, and we are in municipal court.
Correct.
And I am helping the township out with all the possibilities of getting the township what they need to have for everything that's done. What I was trying to bring up to the council is people do get into the situation as like the people in the past and behind me. I mean, I was very frustrated too. And I'm not gonna, it's a very frustrating thing.
Sure it is.
And what I was gonna say was possibly if the council, I don't know how this goes, that's why I'm asking, that's why I wanted to come up and approach. I'm trying to finish mitigating my problem and getting that taken care of with the township's help and all this other stuff. But what I was going to say to the council was possibly if you guys could possibly put a code in, and I know that you're going to probably say that you can't do that
Why don't
because
you let him get to that point, and why don't you say?
I'm just saying, but I know because you've said it in the past to me when you could take somebody to court. What I meant is that the town possibly come up with a code that if somebody that comes into the town that really doesn't know the town and just wants to do what they want to do, they think it, honestly, and I don't want to sound mean or derogatory, but it's almost like, it's like the Wild West. They come in, people that have not, I've lived here for 20 years, okay? And people that just come in like 6 months, they just start tearing trees out, bringing dirt in, changing grades, not even like, questioning, getting any kind of idea of the landscape. And because they saw wild animals, that's one of the reasons why what was done at my property, that they ripped out trees because they saw a fox and they saw snakes, ground snakes. And I'm like, that's not a reason to do something like that. And it turned out I was right. It was a township property. It was an easement. It was a water easement that kept the water contained. But because they did damage to the township property, and I have all the documentation towards that to help the township out, I was able to get Lou the pictures, and Mark Razumowitz has been gracious, and Alan, Joe, everybody's been great. But the problem is it's very frustrating. And when it comes down to the fact is that when people just want to come in and do something, if the town can set up some sort of a code, and I'm not saying to hold it against people, but to put them in check. Anytime like if I had to do siding or a roof on my house, I had to go to the permit office down the construction office. You know, like when you want to put trees or take trees out, you had to go to the zoning officer. You had to do all this specific stuff so that you don't hurt or damage other people's property. But there's no code for somebody to come in and just think that they can do what they want to do, and they have no repercussions.
No, but just so we understand.
Okay.
All of those things that you were talking about, that you require permits and all of those have penalties if you don't follow them. So the answer to your question is the reason we're in court is because we have an ordinance that has a penalty. Every one of our ordinances has a penalty with it. If you don't follow it, we can write a summons in the municipal court and you can be fined. So, you know, and by the way, just so you know, it's not just people who just moved in 6 months ago. It happens all the time.
It does?
You know, Councilman DePiero probably would tell you better than anybody. He's been building and doing stuff in town forever. That
I'm not
people
saying-
go out and do stuff. You know, I think it's easier to beg
I'm
for
not
forgiveness
saying-
than to ask permission.
I'm not saying that it's just because,
you know,
I'm not saying that it's just because people just moving in here, but people just want what they want and they think.
But the answer is we have all of our codes have penalties, right? They all have penalties up to a maximum of $2,000. It's the penalty is the same. It's the maximum penalty that the state legislature allows us to assess against a code violation.
Okay.
But all of the things that you just mentioned, every one of those, there's a code provision and a penalty if somebody doesn't follow it. And when we get complaints, we issue summonses. That's what we do.
But when it comes down to, like, when you're saying it's like a maximum penalty of $2,000, and in retrospect, $2,000 is a drop in the bucket. My pool liner was $5,000.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying
the problem is that from I mean, there's some violations that we can do $2,000 a day. The problem with that is that the legislature only allows us to assess a fine of $2,000. That's the maximum in municipal. For non-Faulkner Act and Faulkner Act municipalities, it's the maximum penalty that we can impose. So we can't say, okay, we should pass a code and make it $10,000 because we don't have the ability to do that.
I'm not even.
All I'm saying is that's the most that we can. That's the most we can impose. And the other part, which is the part that people don't.
I wasn't saying to impose.
But let me finish though.
But I'm saying
the part that people don't understand.
Okay.
And I say this to people all the time is that you have remedies in a civil court that we don't have. So Mr. Stefano, who we've told, and I know people don't like to say this, but if your neighbor comes over and burns your house down, I can give somebody a code violation. And by the way, it's up to the judge to impose the fine because we don't get to impose the
No, I know
fine.
that.
But if you think that your neighbor did something that destroyed your pool, you should get a lawyer and sue them. And I tell people that all the time. But here's the point of it. The point of it, and I'm not saying that this is you, and it's the point that we've been trying to make to Mr. Tefano. Mr. Tefano doesn't want to go do that because he would have to hire a lawyer to go do that. What he wants to do is he wants to use the township attorney's office free of charge and the town engineer free of charge and Joe Stroin's license free of charge. He could have solved this problem.
I'm not
he really
here
has
for him.
$20,000, but I'm just saying that if you have damages that, and by the way, let me tell you the other part about it, and I don't know whether they've told you this secret. If they get imposed a $500 fine, you know what? You don't get it.
I don't want it.
But you don't get it.
I don't
we
want
get it. So, and there's no mechanism for us giving it to you. So you never get, if you have cleanup at your house or your pool gets destroyed, you're never going to get compensated for that.
I've never asked for a dime.
No.
He's giving you information.
I'm just telling you
That's
generally.
all he's doing.
But
But I just want people to understand that we're the government, right? That's the point. That's the point of it. There's things that we can do and we enforce our laws. So there's things we can do and things we can't do. And these neighborhood disputes are terrible.
And they are. And unfortunately,
they're terrible.
And being like caught in the middle of one, it's not a it's not a fun place to be. And I'm not talking for people. I'm my own person. I'm speaking on behalf of basically the township itself because I am helping the town. But what I'm saying is, I put my neck on the line. I went out there and I did what I had to do. It's not like I'm looking for anything. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for anything except for maybe possibility of what I wanted to ask you was if there was any way that there could have been a code to protect Township of Monroe people from future events of like this happening.
But
That's
there are.
all I meant to say.
And all I'm saying to you is there are, and that's why we're in court, because
And I
we
know-
signed a
I
violation.
understand.
There's
Right.
not, if the answer is, can we pass a code to protect us from people who are going to move in?
No, I'm not looking for. No. You're taking it the wrong way.
No, but the point is
you're
that,
taking it the wrong
but
way.
what I'm saying to you is the issues that you're talking about, we have codes for those. We do have them. The answer is we do.
Okay. I mean, I haven't
That's why
seen
we're
them.
in court.
But
Well, that's why we wouldn't be
We
in
can
court if we
arrange for
didn't
you
have
to
it.
see them.
But all right.
Yeah, they're online, by the way.
Yeah.
I know they are. The E360. I understand that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to address us this evening, please? Please state your name and address for the record.
Council President, if I could just add one thing really quick. and
Absolutely,
come
everyone's
close
been
to-
doing one thing.
Lou, just add, I think one of the questions is, and hopefully I'm understanding it correctly, we can't create a code that would allow us to get damages for a neighbor.
No.
Cannot.
Because I think that's part of and I think it would be great if we could, but that's not legal, I
No,
think
we
is
don't
the
have
issue.
standing to do that.
So I just wanted to point that out, yeah. Okay, so I just want to be, then I apologize, okay. Yeah, okay, I apologize.
You're not going to let this go. Folks, can we have
Sorry, I
someone at the
apologize.
microphone? I would really like us to move on. Please, sir, thank you. Both of you. Please, our next.
Thank you, Council President Cohen. Jenny Ludis, 38 Ridgeview Road,
Yeah.
Jamesburg, New Jersey, 08831. I just want to thank the Monroe Council and Mayor Delina for the past 2 years of keeping all the residents in Monroe safe, and I think you did an outstanding job. And I also wanted to wish Councilwoman Betty Schneider a very happy birthday. Thank you, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
all have a great week.
Thank you very much. You wish to speak, please.
It was nice to hear about the ceremonies of Memorial Day. I missed them this year because my old next door neighbor was the Grand Marshal. His parade in our town, and a bunch of neighbors got together to support him. But I did appreciate what Councilman Ventura had said about the old and the young. And I'll relate this story. My son, when he was a teenager or whatever, close to it, after a family get together, he said, "Ma, I was talking to Uncle Louie, and he told me he was in D-Day." And I was like, "Wow, Uncle Louie, that's so cool." He says, "Ma," he looked down, he shook his head, looked up, and a tear was coming down, said it wasn't cool at all. And he says, "And I never realized until I spoke with him what he carried for all these years." So,
I must ask again for your name and address.
oh,
just for
Lucio
the record.
Pinos, 1208 Sealand Air
Thank you.
Plaza. Well, anyway, the young and the old bouncing off each other is necessary. I actually think that's part of the problem with this world today. There's not enough of it. I want to thank you all for seeing the need to have a more open process, and the mayor seemed most sincere and open to that, to say we're going to, realizing that it may, whatever the budget was, is a better way to do the process, and I'll be glad to do that. And for the next council meeting, possibly, I wonder what's the status of the BFI? It was a big hot topic. I don't need it now, but maybe you could look into it. Are the trucks still going down that neighborhood that everybody's complaining about? And did BFI ever reimburse the township as they were supposed to? So if you could have that maybe for next meeting, hopefully if I don't win the lottery and I come back, I'll get the answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wish to address us at this time? And I would like to entertain a motion to close the public comment section, please. May I have that motion?
So moved.
May I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have no. Any opposed? No. We have no further business to be brought before this body this evening. Therefore, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Please do that.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, thank you.
The time is now 9:10.
Not a debatable motion?
Aye.